Okay, good morning. I've got a reading for a spiritual biography of the seasons, and this is for spring. The awakenings of spring represent an emergence into the full life of consciousness. There is a sense of completeness to this particular motion of spring, a sense of wholeness. Stirrings indicate that we are beginning to move out of darkness, hibernation, and stillness, and that something needs to happen. But awakenings indicate complete movement from sleep to wakefulness, from inattention to attention, from hibernation to participation, from darkness to light. What has been still and quiet is now fully emerged and ready to take up its role in the cycles of life. Springtime awakenings mean that awareness, sharper consciousness, and more intense understanding of the edges of life against which we are being constantly rubbed. To choose not to awaken is to stay in perpetual winter, to dull ourselves so that we hardly see those edges. As we begin waking up, understanding the intimate connections between ourselves and our place and the spiritual possibilities to which those connections point, then we see that spring offers a periodical infusion of the primal spirit, a beauty that is not delusional, and the promise that once again, all things can be made anew.
So I have a story to tell you. What? No. Why does everyone laugh?
It's always funny.
Okay. This one's serious. A man died. Oh. Well, he died. And he went up to the pearly gates. And there is St. Peter. So St. Peter looked at him and he said, you know, I got to tell you, before you go see God, we have already looked over your life. And to be perfectly honest with you, you haven't really done anything good or anything bad. We don't really know what to do with you. We're not sure where to put you. Can you tell us anything that can help us make a decision about where we're going to send you? So that newly arrived soul kind of thought about that for a few minutes, and he said, yeah. Once I was driving along, and I came upon this person who was being harassed by a group of thugs. So I pulled my car over, got out of that, went up to the leader of the thugs, who, by the way, was really big, really muscular, and had this big ring in his lip. So I tore the ring out of his lip, and I told him he and his gang had better stop bothering this guy, or he was going to have to deal with me. So St. Peter said, well, that's pretty impressive. So what happened? Or when did this happen? And he said, well, about 3 minutes ago. About 3 minutes ago. Thank you. Anyway, so the divine shows up in our everyday life every single day, every single moment. And it shows up in really small ways, and it shows up in really big ways. Miracles of all kinds happen all the time. And we can encourage those miracles. We can see more of them, have these divine experiences, and you know how? Simply by recognizing that they exist. And the more you recognize them, the more they seem to appear. And in truth, they were there all along. Maybe you had asked for a sign of some sort, and you see a feather laying on the sidewalk, and that may have symbolic significance for you. And that's one way that we can experience that divine. Noticing ways in which the divine loves us and wants us to be known through generosity, through gifts of grace. That's a gift from life as well. Being open and aware of our inner truth radar, that which recognizes words of wisdom that maybe we were praying for, looking for, that support, that help, come through a friend. They say the right thing at the right time, or you hear something on the radio, a beautiful piece of music that is that answer to your question. Those things are available to us all the time if we open up and are ready to see them. Life's love is not only pure, it is healing. And we know when God gifts us with grace because we feel it. Have you ever had that feeling? I mean, we feel it so deeply. We feel it with absolute clarity. And it's in that simplicity that we feel so touched through our heart and through our soul, because we can feel that truth. Life wants us and encourages us to grow, to thrive, and to be of service to all of humanity. That's what life wants for each and every single one of us. And it's through deep gratitude and deep recognition that we increase miracles, that we can see and know that the divine is always present in our life. I saw a bumper sticker the other day, and it said this: God comes to us disguised as our life. Isn't that the truth? God comes to us disguised as our life. We forget that sometimes, don't we? It can be difficult sometimes to see the sacred through the details, through the frustrations of life. And sometimes life is frustrating. At the same time, how powerful it is to have the clarity of vision to see life's hand at work in everyday interactions, in our everyday tasks. We become inspired by noticing what is present, by recognizing what's in front of us as the divine, beautiful gift that it truly is. And what I know is this, that the most ordinary of things can radiate beauty, lessons in our life, and pure joy. We all know that it's all sacred and that it's all divine. We just need to remember to look at life with the right set of eyes. To remember that sacred, that holy, and that divine. We can use nature to learn how exactly to do that, how to live in bliss, how to just allow life to be what it is. And we do that by placing on our attention on how nature responds to its source, which, by the way, is the same source that we have. Think about and notice, and you can see in this image, how the flowers go toward the light. And that's true about plants, trees, grass. They all grow, and they all grow toward the light, toward their source. And they do that their entire lifetime, all the way through their maturity. First, they're rooted in the ground, though, aren't they? They're rooted, they grow, and they allow things to be. They don't question what it is they need. They simply accept, and by the way they blossom, apparently with great gratitude, and show themselves and grow to their maximum potential. They seem to understand that their source gives life while it grows. Nature allows, nature enjoys, nature just is. And when we can slow down, when we can look around, we can truly appreciate what a wonderful world we live in too. Because all of those same things life has given to us and has it available to us simply for the opening up. One way to do that is instead of allowing the busyness of life to become a source of distraction. Anyone do that besides me? Yeah, instead of doing that, we can learn to identify familiar tasks and objects simply as the divinity that they are. We can use our everyday stuff to remember to become fully present in the moment simply as it is, without that resistance. God is everywhere if we know how to look. Not where to look, but how to look. And if we want to develop the art of unearthing that divine in the everyday, we want to be open. We want to have clarity. All of life is miraculous. All of it. It's funny, think about your body. Lionel and I were talking about that last Sunday. Think about how miraculous that is. And the healing that goes on with that. And what do? The same thing a flower does. You say, okay, here I am, and it heals itself. It's absolutely fascinating, isn't it? We're all miracles. A Course in Miracles describes miracles as being simply a shift in perceptions. It's all in the way that we're looking. If we open our hearts, if we open our minds, we can begin to see the ordinary temporal experiences from a perspective of the divine. We can decide to perceive our world from that vantage point. It's absolutely a choice. Do we choose to see it as life-giving, or do we choose to see it as, oh my gosh, not another awful thing going on in my life? Can you imagine what life would be like if we experienced every moment as an expression of love and an opportunity to experience the reality of the divine? Can you imagine what your life would be like if we could stay in that moment? For a lot of us, it's easier to experience that presence in creation as we watch maybe a sunrise or a sunset. Or if we go down to the beach and put our feet in the water and enjoy that ocean, the sound and the water. Or maybe watching a newborn baby sleep. We feel that sense of divine. In those moments, our hearts are open. They're open in joy, they're open in delight, because we're recognizing that beauty that is surrounding us. Here's the trick. What about those times when we're making dinner, or doing laundry, or housework, or yard work, or paying bills? Are we still in that same space? Do we recognize the beauty and the love that surrounds us at that moment in time? A lot of our daily life seems to be taken up with ordinary, mundane tasks, and we forget that everything we are and everything we do is indeed an expression of the divine. It can't be otherwise, because that's who we are. Can we remember to bring ourselves to center during those moments when our spouse is angry, or when our friend or our child's in crisis? Do we remember to bring that divine love in the moment to that particular situation? Because the truth is this, divine love is always available and present for us when we open up to it. Even when life isn't flowing the way we think it should. The magical, the mystical, those things are not separate from ordinary. Do you believe that? I do. I absolutely believe that. There's no difference. You're going to laugh. And this is true, though. There's no difference between taking a trip to Hemet and taking a trip to Hawaii. Right? No difference at all. The only difference is our perception and what use we make of that particular experience. Each and every moment, each and every experience that we encounter is one with the divine. And often we're going to feel much more connected, maybe more in Hawaii than Hemet, and that's perfectly normal. Sometimes we feel more connected. Maybe it's the water. We might feel more connected in Hemet. Maybe we have family there. And that connection is deeper and better than anything we may experience in Hawaii. Everyone's different. What's going to help us live a spiritual life and stay in that place of recognizing the divine in all things is staying on that path of practice. That's about the only thing I know that will keep us focused. Practice, practice, practice. In The New Earth, the book The New Earth by Eckhart Tolle, he writes about 3 modalities of what he calls awakened doing. 3 very basic ways that we can align our lives with that creative power of the universe. Joy, well, actually acceptance, joy, and enthusiasm. Those are three great words though, aren't they? They just even feel good when you say them. His example about acceptance I really love. He says, you most likely won't be able to enjoy changing a flat tire on your car in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the night, with the rain pouring down. You most likely are not going to be real enthusiastic about that situation. What you can do instead, he says, is bring acceptance to that situation. Take action in the moment. Do what needs to be done. And do so without that angry, frustrated, insert your word here, resistance. Right? Because when you do that, you are then taking responsibility for your own state of consciousness, for your own happiness. Whatever you can't enjoy doing, you can, at a minimum, accept what it is you have to do right here, right now, in this moment. Now, the alternative to that is what? Complaining. And I don't know if you know this, but I've heard tell that complaining changes nothing. I've certainly tried it enough times in my life that I know it has absolutely no effect. That's not entirely true. The effect that it has is it makes us feel worse about the situation we're in, and then we feel like we have to dig ourselves even deeper out of that hole. Acceptance simply means that for right now, this is the situation, this is what's required of me, and I'm going to do that willingly, without resistance, because that's what the moment is asking for. That's what the moment requires. The best news about acceptance is that no matter what life situation you are in, you experience, it doesn't remain forever. Every life situation is transitory. Every single one of them. And that's great news. It came to pass, and it never stays. And so, as you move through a difficult situation, remember that. It's transitory, and you will move through it. He goes on to describe joy as the dynamic aspect of being. And he contends that on this new earth, the one that we're creating right now together, that enjoyment will replace wanting as that motivating power behind people's action. Wanting, he says, arises from the idea that we are separate and disconnected, not just from God, but from one another. And enjoyment, he says, is that bliss that is within. So experiencing joy occurs when you make the present moment your focal point. Every moment. Right? Not easy to do always. That, however, is how we can experience that joy. Because when the creative power of the universe becomes conscious of itself, it cannot help but manifest joy. Even when there's perceived darkness in your life, you always have the power and the freedom to choose joy. It's entirely up to you. And that's when you do that, that's when the positive change begins to happen in your life. When you enjoy what you're already doing instead of waiting for something else to make your life better, then all kinds of things can happen around you. Joy doesn't come from what you do. It flows into what you do. Does that make sense? You can experience joy in any activity that you are fully present in, as long as that activity is not just a means to the end. Being fully and completely present. Now, it may not mean that you're necessarily doing an action that you enjoy. However, it's that deep sense of aliveness that you feel that flows through you into that action. And that gives you the connection with the divine, with the joy of actually being. And finally, he talks about enthusiasm. And he calls that a deep enjoyment in what you're doing with an added element of a goal or a vision that you work toward. And I would say more of a vision than a goal. And at the height of our creativity, we become fueled by enthusiasm. And that energy behind what you're doing at that particular time is really indescribable. And what I know is this: each and every person, without any question, has experienced that in their life. I know you have. It's a point when you're so excited and you're so consumed with what you're doing that you lose track of everything. You can't believe that much time has gone by because you're so engrossed in what you're doing. And you're engrossed in the journey, right? Not the end result. That's enthusiasm. That's when things happen. That's when the universe is conspiring with you and for you on your behalf. That's the experience that I have here at Common Ground. It's all about the journey. I have no clue what our end result is. Quite frankly, I don't have an end result in mind because I don't know what that would be. I don't know what it would look like. The importance here at Common Ground is the journey itself. Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? Being on this journey and being with all of you and sharing that journey and then sharing it with whomever else wants to come along and play with us. Isn't it great when people come and we haven't seen for a long time, or new people? It's like, oh my gosh, you belong here. A piece was missing and we didn't even know it. And it's a beautiful, beautiful experience. We're called to notice where and how the divine shows up in our life so we can become present, stay present, and be that divine spark out there in the world. And through conscious recognition, we can strengthen our connection with God, with Source, with Spirit. The divine that is within us wants to create a life that meets our needs, that wants to meet our desires in life. And flowing with the what is will clear out many obstacles, and it furthers the manifestation of our higher self right here, right now, while we're here on the planet. So this week I would invite you to look for ways to be accepting, to be joyful, to be enthusiastic. Put beauty in your thoughts, and you will see just how much beauty is out there in the world. Peacefully accept what is. Transform it into the best that it can possibly be in that moment. Enjoy those unexpected twists and turns on your journey because they truly are a gift. Treasure the experience, the learning, the love, and the richness of every little thing. Thank you so much for being here while I share the truth as I understand it.